Whoa, sorry about that. But I just love Recorder. Oh, it's so cool. I just love it. I'd play Recorder all the time if I could. But when it comes to teaching Recorder, I think it's really important to teach about the different parts of the recorder, because understanding how instruments work is a huge part of understanding sound and music in general, but also how to categorize different instruments into different ways. So I wanted to talk about the parts of the recorder to make sure that you understand them better and that your students understand them better. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Recorder. All right, the parts of the recorder are kind of tricky, so let's start big. This is my alto recorder by LMI. It's pretty cool. I like it. I recommend this kind. Alto recorders in general are awesome, but that's a whole other topic. So let's start big. 3 main recorder parts. We have the head joint, or the head. This is where the sound comes out. We have the body, which is basically just an empty tube with holes drilled in it. And then we have the foot joint. Now, we call this the middle joint, or the body, I call it sometimes. And then this is the foot, or the foot joint. It has another hole, and there's a hole on the bottom. And these are the 3 parts of the recorder. No, I didn't break it. If you've never seen a recorder come apart before, as I'm sure most of you have, they're designed to go that way. So now, let's dig into it. First up, the head joint. The head joint is actually the most important part of the recorder overall. And before I get into this too much, if you look in the description below, I will include my dedicated article on parts of the recorder, which also has a really, really cool graphic. If you'd like to share that graphic, feel free. Please go ahead. Just make sure you link back to Dynamic Music Room so we can, share the credit so you know where it came from and stuff like that. So anyway, the head joint. So the head joint is, like I said, the most important because this is where the vibration happens. This is where the sound comes from. This top part here is called the mouthpiece. It's also sometimes called the Beck. The Beck, which is a funny word. This rectangular kind of hole here, you see how it's hard to see. It's like shaved out. It's like an angle out. This is called the window. And the window is where the sound ends up coming from. If you block the window, first of all, it sounds horrible because some air is still escaping. But if you block the window, there's no sound. This is where the vibration happens. As you blow into the mouthpiece, or the Beck of the recorder, there's a block here. This is this plastic piece. On some recorders, it's a whole separate piece. And it focuses the air. And as the air comes in through this stream, it hits the window. And inside the window where this dips down it's really hard to see. So I apologize for that. As it dips down here, okay, and you it's kind of hard to see. And yes, there's I think one of my kids drew on my recorder. Jeez, Pete. So as the air goes through the mouthpiece and the block keeps it focused and concentrated, it hits this thing called the edge, or the labium. All right, and as it hits this edge, it's kind of like a sharp piece. If you put your finger in there, you kind of feel it's not sharp, going to cut you, but it's not like a block at all. It's like a sharp piece. And when it hits that sharp piece, the edge or the labium, the sound gets split. And as that sound splits, the vibration occurs in and out of that part there, and that's where the vibration happens. That's why if you cover this up, it blocks the sound. So this is the head joint, really important. Here's a fun thing you can do. If you blow on it, plays a note, but if you stick your finger in it and you move it in and out, it's kind of like a mini trombone. Or you can put your hand over it like this and do like bird calls. I'm weird, I know, but I love it. All right, next up we are talking about the body, or the middle joint of the recorder. There's not too much to talk about here because it's pretty simple. It's just a tube with some holes drilled in it, and you'll see the different holes. So these holes are called tone holes. Technically, you could just call them holes or finger holes or something like that. On the middle joint, you usually have the top one, the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 6th one you see 2 holes drilled in there, and that's to get some chromatic alterations. So if you only cover up 1/2 of the holes, you get an accidental or a half step above, rather than if you cover both. On the back, you'll also see the thumb hole, and that's where your thumb goes to help get the right fingerings. Now, these are all very specifically drilled, if you couldn't tell, to get the best intonation possible. And you'll also notice that some are off-centered, like we've got one, then one's over a little bit, then one's back over here. And that's actually to follow the shape of your fingers. You notice like your middle finger sticks out farther than your pointer finger and stuff like that, which is why I tell kids it's important to actually have your left hand on top, because the holes are designed with that in mind. You see the middle finger hole is pushed over a little bit farther, all right? Cool. So if you don't already know, but I'm sure you do, the thumb, your left hand thumb goes on the back, pointer on top, middle, ring finger, and then you're going to switch hands to the next holes, covering up 4, 5, 6, and then the foot joint has the last one, and this left hand pinky always floats there. It doesn't do anything. Interestingly enough, this doesn't make any sound. You have to have the head joint to help you out here. You could buzz your lips and do it. It's kind of funny, but no, you got to have the head joint. You got to have the head joint to make the recorder sound. The feet! The foot joint right here. Not much to say about the foot joint. This is where it comes in. This is the hole in the bottom. This doesn't really affect the sound much at all. These are the tone holes. This would be for your right hand pinky. And again, we see 2 holes, one big, one small. And this is for those, the chromatic notes, the accidentals, like we talked about with the last joint. The last part. So yeah, so this hole on the bottom, everyone thinks kids especially, if you cover it up, it's going to stop the sound. Just drop the head joint. That's actually not the case. If you cover it up, it will start to alter the tuning of the notes slightly the more fingers you add. Usually it's around the 4th tone hole that you start to really notice the change in intonation. But it won't block the sound out unless you're playing a C, a low C, where you cover every single hole and then you block up the button, the bottom, then the sound will be blocked, okay? Those are all the parts of the recorder. It's pretty cool, especially the head joint. That's important. So we got the foot. Let's go backwards. We've got the foot here with 1 tone hole in the bottom. We're going to put it on top here with the middle part, the middle joint, or the body. I always like to make sure that these bottom 2 holes are lined up almost exactly perfectly, but they don't have to be exactly perfect lined up. Obviously, the thumb hole's on the back, opposite of the rest of them. And then we're going to put the head joint on. The window should be lined up with the first, there it is, the first tone hole there. And then for the head joint, if you recall, this is the mouthpiece or the Beck. There's a block here. On some recorders, it's a separate piece. It concentrates the air as it goes through, and then it hits the window. Inside the window, there's that labium or edge, and when the air hits the window, it splits out. Some of it goes in, down the recorder, and some of it comes out, and that's where the vibration happens. And those are the parts of the recorder. If you found this helpful, please make sure you subscribe or share it. Don't forget, in the description below, I have links to those articles that has that really cool graphic, so make sure you check that out. And until next time, keep on singing. Or, no, playing recorder. Keep on playing recorder.